Cara.
Hi, Vicky. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Happy 2026. We've made it. How was your Christmas?
We made it. It was wonderful, thank you.
Great.
I'm slightly in shock that the break is coming to an end. How about you?
Yeah, it was a bit up and down, as expected. And did I tell you that Jamie's mum has broken her ankle? She broke
No.
her ankle on Christmas Day. No, on Boxing Day.
Oh my
And it was just
God.
awful. It was just such a,
The poor thing.
I know. And she's still in hospital.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's really bad. So that was quite stressful.
Oh, I'm
On
so
Boxing Day.
sorry.
I know. Well, poor Jamie's mum. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I think she's a bit fed up now, and she's been there a while.
Oh God, it's the
I know. So
worst.
it was quite a lot actually. But we had our lovely little girls' night, so that was really
Yeah.
cute.
I'm
We
wearing.
did. Are you
I'm wearing.
wearing? Love that. Love that they're getting used.
Oh God, they're so comfortable. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Show you the bottom of my dirty slippers on camera, but there you go.
Are
You
they
have them
slipper
that.
socks? I didn't even, or are they just really
Hmm.
slippers? They're slipper socks.
They're kind of slipper
Rather.
socks, so
Nice. Well, we definitely need it today in this Arctic
yes.
conditions.
Oh, God.
It's very
For a reason.
Yes, it's very chilly here, but beautiful blue sky, piercing blue,
Oh,
which is so good for the soul. And Jamie's taking the Christmas tree down as we speak, so it's
yep.
happening.
It's that
2026 is a
time.
go. Yes. Sure. And welcome back, everyone, to She Changed History. Here we are. So,
Yes.
Cara is going to kick us off this beautiful year with a fabulous story,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited to hear.
Fabulous. All right. Well, it was a bit of a random pick, so go with me. But there were surprises in store for me when I picked this lady because I came across the name Pamela Coleman Smith and thought, oh, this is a really interesting story along the lines of some things we've done before, actually, about an artist who wasn't credited for some pretty well-known work that she had done. But then I started reading about her, and she was one of these people who just lived in, like the curse goes, interesting times. So because her
Okay.
lifespan sort of covered that kind of period where the two world wars happened, and there were some really different social mores at play, things around real deep interest in mysticism and spirituality. Her life ended up, instead of just being this straight story about an artist who got sidelined, it kind of brought out some themes around identity and belonging and appropriation. So we're going to dig into it. We're going to meet the mystic and artist and seeker and controversial socialite Pamela Coleman Smith. And you can see a photo of her in the notes in all of her kind of glad rags. So definitely playing up a stereotype. So no quotes today. It just didn't flow that way. So it's going to be kind of chill, jump in any old time. Lots of sources. Penguin Publishing talked about her because there's a book by her in their catalog. ArtNet History blog had some notes about her around this specific piece of work. There's this lovely, wonderfully named subreddit called Witches versus the Patriarchy, which is where I found, I know, right? Sign me up. So that had a huge piece about her, which really kind of sparked my interest in the first place. The Tate Gallery and Art Cornwall both have examples of her work on their sites and articles about her. And then there was this research article, which I thought was super interesting, that is called, in full, The Myth of Pamela Coleman Smith's Blackness, Ethnic Impersonation in the Modern Esoteric Milieu. So, yeah, you can kind of see where we're headed.
Yes.
Starting at the beginning. So Pamela Coleman Smith was born in 1878, which is nearly 150 years ago, in Pimlico in London. And she was an only child to her parents, who were a merchant, an American man called Charles Edward Smith, and he was from Brooklyn in New York. Her mother, Corinne Coleman, was a British Jamaican woman. So she did live in Jamaica, but she was a white woman. And because she had these different influences in her life, Pamela spent her early years traveling between London and New York and Kingston, Jamaica. So she was kind of living all over the place.
Mhm.
And it gave her, I think, a little bit of a wanderer spirit. And then in her teens, as people apparently did at the turn of the century, she just left home and went and toured around England in a traveling theater company. And it was, I know, like,
It's very much like, who was that other lady who did that? Was it Texas?
yeah,
And
I
when they were like,
think,
"Yeah, I'm just gonna travel
yeah,
around now.
just
That's what
gonna
I'm
go
gonna
work
do."
in showbiz. I'm
Yeah,
15. See you later. So
yeah.
this was like that. But because she was well connected, this theater group she joined was kind of comprised of pretty well known and well respected and well funded people.
Okay.
So, like Bram Stoker was involved, and names that we will still know now.
Ooh.
So she's out there, she's working as an actor, and more specifically, she's involved in set design. And at this point, just as a little side note, one of the theater's owners gave her the nickname Pixie, which
Okay.
stayed with her for her whole life.
That's
So
cute.
cute. Then in her late teens, Pamela Pixie went back to Brooklyn, and she went to university uh, at Pratt Institute, which is still there now. It's a university that's known for art and design. So, in order to get in, she would have been pretty good at what she
Yeah.
did.
So this traveling circus is like a gap year kind of vibe
Yeah,
for
she's
her. It's
just
just, let loose, go
getting a
from
little work experience, a little
yeah.
internship, and then off to uni. However, sadly, her mother died quite young in 1896, and almost immediately after that, in 1899, her father died.
Oh god.
And I know, so she has no siblings, she has no close family,
Ugh.
and they've died. She then, at age 21, left her university course early and returned to England.
Okay.
She's kind of going back to the life she knows best, I suppose.
Maybe it was a calling, maybe it was like a
Yeah,
to
I
your
can
roots.
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's where you know the most people and you're
Mhm.
kind of rootless, so why not? And it worked for her. She started working as an illustrator and again as a stage designer. She
I
had that
love this
experience.
stage designer
Yeah,
thing.
it's a cool thing to do. And she was working for the Lyceum Theater Group, so
No
you
way.
know, right? Like,
Ooh That's
yeah,
where the
she's
Lion King is at the
oh,
Lyceum Theatre
okay,
at the
okay.
minute, yeah.
That's very cool.
And she's
So
very
yeah,
talk about set design. That's
right?
amazing set design,
So
yeah.
proper things. Oh, she did costumes for the Russian ballet. You know, she was
It's
doing
very
all right.
arty, yeah.
Clearly had considerable talent.
Mhm.
So, pretty standard issue stuff, socialite with a tragic backstory. Um, there's this whole other riff that we'll get into now that I was like, I had to work quite hard to leave stuff out because
Yeah.
she had such a diverse life. So
Mm.
she's in London, she's doing this theater work. She's also doing illustrations, she's doing books, like over 20 books she illustrated, posters, pamphlets, this charming thing called miniature theater design, which I didn't know what this was, and if you're unfamiliar with it, think of like a Punch and Judy theater at the seaside
Yeah.
or like a little
A
tableau
tiny
with
theatre.
tiny
A
things. And
paper
there's
theatre.
a picture here with little paper dolls and, this is her
Mm.
work. This is the kind of thing she's doing.
This is mad.
It's
Absolutely mad that
crazy.
that's a career,
In
like,
in
at this
all of
time.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just like dipping her fingers into all
Mm.
these different pies. Like you can
She
do
must have
all these
had,
things.
like, some type of financial security or something to fall back on.
Yes.
I
I
can't imagine the demand for tiny theatre set. I don't
she
know. I could be wrong.
I think you are very right. I think she inherited well, and as her story unfolds, you can kind of maybe see the consequences of
A
been
full
having that fallback, but also maybe not having the most practical sense of money and
yeah.
income. So
'Cause if you don't know, you
sh
don't know.
you don't know what you don't know, and she's out there, she's doing her work, she's loving her life. She also has going on um, a spiritual side. And
I'm
so
interested in this. Tell me more.
yeah, her design style is influenced really strongly by two main threads of belief at this point in her life. She grew up in a tradition called Swedenborgianism, which we'll get to. Yeah. And she grew up with a real love of Afro-Caribbean folklore.
Makes
So
sense.
we'll go into the more perhaps esoteric one first, Swedenborgianism.
Yeah, I've never heard of.
Any?
I know what Sweden means. I've heard of Borgian before, but together, no idea.
So yeah, Charlie's theory was that it was Nordic robots, but it is not. It was a
Yes,
religion,
Charlie.
right?
Love
Like
that.
he's there with the puns. It's the religion her parents raised her in. And in a nutshell, there's this dude, he's called Emanuel Swedenborg. He's a scientist, and he started having spiritual visions,
No
which
way.
to my
So all
mind,
of this is just a guy.
just a
Just this
guy.
guy.
I'm thinking a guy possibly with
Emmanuel.
syphilis or some sort of psychosis who starts having visions. And then because he's a scientist, he's like writing scientific notes about his visions and heaven and hell and the spiritual realm. And eventually some people read it and went, well, I know what you would read it and you'd go, what the hell? Someone read it and went, I think I'm going to start a church based on this. And eventually it's still going now. I shouldn't be so disrespectful. This is still a thing. But yeah,
I'm
so
going to
this,
just start a church. I'm just going
why
to start a
not?
church. Maybe
Write
this
some
is our
stuff down.
2026, Cara. This is what we
I
need to
think
do.
heaven and hell is like this. One thing he encouraged that I think we can all get behind is direct personal experience and curiosity towards the spiritual
Oh,
dimension
yeah.
of life.
100%.
So cool. So this is her like base. This is where she's starting from.
And how does she
then
know about him?
her parents raised her in that religion. They
Right.
were
Got you.
members of the Swedenborgian church. And so she grew up with that encouragement to consider beyond the visible realm and that heaven and hell, you could reach them through direct personal contact. You didn't need
Got you.
scriptures. You could just get into it somehow.
Ooh,
So
I'm
she's got
interested in
that,
Emmanuel.
right?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, something's going on there. Then this young woman with this base mindset is growing up in Jamaica, kind of seeing the Obeah traditions, that Afro-Caribbean spiritual practice that takes from West African beliefs and Christian beliefs and indigenous beliefs. And then there's the folklore piece, which Luke Pepera talked about, Anansi, the trickster god, trickster goddess in some cultural frameworks. So
And
Pamela's
also,
learning all this stuff.
sorry, Nanny of the Marines was Obeah as well. Was her
Yes, so these
tradition,
themes
similar
are
time
coming
frames, I guess.
through. Yeah, kind of
Okay.
interesting how these things tend to overlap. So Pamela's seeing all that stuff, fascinated by it, understandably, to the point where Pamela wrote and illustrated books about Jamaican and African folklore.
Wow.
In her own interpretation of Jamaican patois. So this is where it starts getting it's like a little whiff of what's to come, because from a modern point of view, these uncomfortable sort of themes pop up. This social set that she's in and their interest in mysticism meets the historical reality that these white British and American people start adopting elements from other cultures to give themselves an air of mystery and exoticism. And we now, we see that as appropriation. She, I think, would have said, I love these stories. I want to tell these stories.
I
I
want to be
love
part
the
of
way
it.
that Jamaican people speak, and I want to represent that in my writing. But yeah, it's really uncomfortable from a modern perspective. So yeah, let's kind of dig into that a little, because this is the point. This is the point in the early kind of 20th century that she's living through. And there's this massive surge of interest in mysticism and spiritualism and the occult, particularly around these well-to-do, like, social set, this bohemian London, where they were all up in it. They wanted to know about pixies at the bottom of the garden, and they wanted to go to seances. And in her social circles, that bohemian set, it was all about that. And you can see from her background why that would be a good fit for her. It keys into who she is, you know. And
she's clearly interested, and she's clearly seems to have this creative ability, which is so special and rare as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, not everyone know about, or is at least comfortable. I think everyone has it, but whether you tap into it or not is different, and
And
she's really tapped.
you made a good point before too about her having the resources. Not everyone can swan off for a couple of years with a traveling theater, tra-la. It's just not
Just
available.
just because she fancy. Yeah, yeah,
Just,
yeah.
and then you get practice and you get good. So she had those advantages and she made the most of them. She worked hard. She was quite successful professionally. She was well connected socially. And then she's in contact with all of these like prominent figures of that between the wars period to the
She's
point.
sorry, she sounds really outgoing as well.
Yeah,
If you're an
super.
only child, to then put yourself out there and then become to a place where you have a really well connected network,
Yeah.
that just fills me with absolute, not dread, but like overwhelm, that is so unnatural for me to like be outgoing. And
Well,
he's like, well, she just does it.
watch this space because it doesn't seem to be sustainable for even an extrovert. But
Okay.
at this point, she's in her early 20s. She's in London. She's doing all this spiritual stuff, and she's
Hmm.
she's loving it.
Okay.
She is even invited to join. Here we go. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn by the
Cute.
poet W.B. Yeats. So he was another one of these figures at the time
Big
who was
figure.
really interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
So a little side convo. So I can't mention something called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn without kind of briefly
You
discussing
know what
it.
this is reminding me of? It's very much Emily in Paris. Do you watch Emily in Paris?
I don't.
Oh, so the latest season just came out just before Christmas, right? It's so funny how unrealistic it is. It's brilliant. You like one of the characters will just get a text like, "I need you in Rome now," and
Oh,
then like within the next scene, they've just arrived in Rome, and it's
oh
like,
my God.
it's just I was just no one ever invites me to Rome. And no one's invited me to the Golden Dawn. Like, no, how do I get these invites? I
Well,
don't understand.
see if you still think you like the Rome one is solid, but I see if you still think you want it when I tell you of what the Hermetic
The
Order of the Golden
Golden
Dawn
Dawn.
entailed. So it's a secret society. Oh,
I want
already a
that
red flag.
already. No,
Do
already I'm
you?
in.
Do you?
Yes.
So it's all these wealthy and well-connected people, and
So
they're
far,
doing
yes.
all this pageantry and all these costumes and rituals, which would have so been her thing. They pulled on influences from ancient Egypt belief systems with this kind of like modern zhuzh of aesthetics that,
Okay.
kind of fitted that era. And then they kind of took a look at Freemasonry and went, well, that's quite structured. We're going to do it like that. Pamela didn't last long in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. She
What's it?
she only made it to rank 3. There are ranks. There are 11
Oh,
ranks that we know about.
what's
And
3?
3 is the Zealoter of the First Order.
It
So
sounds a bit
that's as
fancier
far.
than green
Oh.
belt, doesn't it? Red belt, blue belt.
So she is like, yeah, she's like a green belt. Unfortunately, progressing through the ranks meant studying texts and reciting ceremonial
Oh, that's
magic.
not her vibe. She's not a studier.
No, right? And like, oh, this one I thought sounded really dodgy. You have to demonstrate spiritual will. And it's like, what does that
What
even
does that
what does that
mean?
mean? I'm thinking it involves seeing some pain is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this sounds ripe for abuse. I hate it. I hate it. And I do not blame her for running a mile. You can edit that out if you want, but it just all sounds very icky.
Ew.
So yeah, she cut out of there. And I think all she really wanted was to just like lounge around in pretty costumes. And she could do that on her own time.
Yeah.
So,
She doesn't need to study to do that.
so
Yeah.
she's in it, she's out of it.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, like, but this is another one of those examples. The Golden Dawn is cherry picking bits of Egyptian ideology to
Oh,
make
yeah.
their system seem mysterious. And this is the
And
trend.
exotic.
The exotic,
Yeah.
the kind of white socialites picking out these
Oh, yeah.
little, oh, that bit seems cool. We'll have the dog-headed god. Amazing. Because it's an aesthetic. It's
'Cause
not
it's
actually
new
a
and it's
belief.
different and it's yeah. And it's
But
this need to be alternate and this need to be
yeah,
special and
yes,
yeah.
you have got their number, and that because that was what everybody was doing in that social set, it wasn't controversial. It was, they saw Pamela, who, you know, had this artist studio and would host salons. They saw it as all charming. And there are notes describing her mad room with these opulent dark green walls with sketches and paintings and swords and sheet music and silks and candles and incense. And she would be wearing these bright robes with like Chinese silk scarves in her hair and coral and amber beads. And she would be
But how
sat.
much of this is theatre?
It's
How much of this is
all
just, I want to be in the
theater.
circus again?
It's exactly, you are so right. It is all theater. That is exactly the word for it. She's making a world and building an impression and using that theatrical background to kind of just seduce her guests as an audience.
And also, I imagine, to handle grief as well. Like, I imagine maybe it's grief, rather than dealing with my grief, I'm going to put this really, do all these extra things to give myself an identity because my root has been chopped. I imagine. I don't know. That's me
Do you know,
psychoanalyzing this person I didn't know existed 20 minutes ago. But I imagine that's my guess.
I think your instincts are really good there. I had not even thought of that, but what a perfect escape for a sad, scared
It's easy, isn't it?
girl.
It's an easy escape. Yeah.
Oh, see, now you've made me really feel
I've made it really
quite
sad and
touched,
depressing.
and I'm about to say something so uncomfortable about her that you're going to be like, no, actually,
get out.
Because part of her salons was that she would do storytelling, and she would tell these Afro-Caribbean folk tales in the guise of a character she called Mammy, which was her speaking in this version of a Jamaican patois.
Okay.
You can't even credit it. And again, we're modern, we're looking at it through the eyes of now, but her friends thought this was just delightful. They
Mammy's
were
a very
so,
interesting name.
And again, just to be clear, that was her term for it. That was the character, the role she was doing.
Okay.
And she, I am confident I can say, would have meant that as a term of affection, but it is so problematic and so just steeped
it's
in
another
so
complex
much.
layer that she is half Caribbean. Complexity to it. And
but the Caribbean of the occupying force that you talked about in the Nanny of the Maroons episode, she's this British Caribbean. So it's like, yes, but no. Like you're right. No. It's so complicated. Yeah. Her London peers saw this like character that she was putting on. They loved it, and they speculated that she must have Black ancestry herself, and that's where that research paper comes in that was mentioned in the opening notes. Scholars have kind of dug into this, and in fact, her life is sort of a case in point that exemplifies how these like so-called exotic qualities from other races or cultures were a real cornerstone of white presentations of mysticism in that time.
And we're knee deep in colonialism as well, I imagine.
Yeah.
At this point, aren't we?
This is exactly the period where it's not even considered that this might be an issue. She apparently, Pamela Coleman Smith, never claimed Black ancestry herself. She, just to be clear, she wasn't pretending to be something she's not, but in her performative representation of it, I doubt she discouraged it. You know what I mean? Like she was leaning in.
She's leaning into the theatre. Yeah.
So there's a picture there of her in full.
It's that picture.
With her candles.
I can hear it. I can. Oh yes.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable. So believe it or not, we have now we've gotten to the point where I was going to start the story.
Oh.
And I haven't gone as deep. Well, we ended up going into such interesting, I thought, interesting other things that the bit that I was originally going to talk about ended up kind of being a footnote. So I'm going to
Okay,
zip through it
okay,
now.
okay.
So Pamela's here. She's doing her thing and she's quite successful and well connected. As we've talked about, she's worked hard at her craft, so she's quite skillful. And she is commissioned at this point to do the art for a tarot deck.
Cute.
Yeah, so this is a guy called Arthur Edward Waite, who commissioned her to do this 78 card tarot deck. Again, like kind of capitalizing on the public interest in mysticism and spirituality. And this is then published by William Ryder and Son in December of 1909.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. And unfortunately, for all the reasons that you talked about before about inheriting and being quite comfortable, Pamela is not very astute in the business side of things. She agreed a flat rate commission, no copyright, no credit.
Because that's annoying.
Yeah.
Because I bet no one advised her because they just see her as this like almost like floozy type.
Little pixie just floating through
Yes.
life, just doing her art. Yeah.
That's annoying.
So
No one was
it's
not for her.
it's just not in her
Because if you're in
wheelhouse.
those like highly connected, people understand that. People
Yeah.
understand that money.
Somebody could have helped her, but
Yes.
unfortunately, for one reason or another, that didn't happen. She had a dreadfully poor contract. She never got royalties. The deck that she illustrated became the most popular tarot deck in the world. Even now,
In the world?
In the world, there's 100 million copies estimated in circulation today.
Wow.
In more than 20 countries. And if you or me envision a tarot card, you're almost certainly picturing her art.
No way.
And her name isn't even on the deck. So I've popped an illustration into the notes, which hopefully we can put up on the socials as well, because this is how I initially got to thinking about who did this art, because I have a project in mind and I was thinking, like, what do I want it to look like visually? And this is the art style that came to mind. And I thought, well, who even did this? And that's how I found Pamela Coleman Smith.
Clara.
So
what a lovely natural way to find a story. That's delightful.
So those are her.
I've recognized the High
Illustrations,
Priestess.
right? Like you will have seen this. And some of the artists, some of the models for some of these cards, including the High Priestess, were friends of hers from the theater group. So it's cute that that's the one that you recognized. And you can see, looking at her art style, the religious imagery that we've talked about. And you can see the influences of the time, like the British arts and crafts movement, the pre-Raphaelite movement,
it's
Christian portraiture. Yes,
very
like
opulent.
Super opulent, saturated colors, the really strong lines.
Really strong.
And if you see her paintings at the Tate, say, or at Art Cornwall, they're all in this. They have these common hallmarks. Even her little miniature theater, going back to the beginning of her career, has a strong visual resemblance. So I've popped in some other examples of her artwork. You can just see it's her. It's her style through and through.
Yeah. Her people look very same. You know what I mean? They look.
Yeah, the figures are
almost like a playing card queen. Kind of that face almost.
Yeah, yes, like
color.
illustration rather than art. It's stunning. And you can see on the lovers, there's a little, at the bottom right, a little squiggle, and that's her autograph. That's her signing the card. So although her name's not on the deck, her her signature is. The only card apparently that doesn't have her signature on it is the Fool. So make of that what you will. But anyhow, after she did this tarot deck work, Pamela left the bohemian scene in London. She adopted Catholicism and she moved to Cornwall with her life partner, and they settled down and made this home for themselves. She continued to work.
It's a bit of a left turn, isn't it?
Yeah, she just went
Order of the Dawn or whatever we were doing.
I know. Like, I don't know if she just outgrew it or if she got fed up or if she found love and thought, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But for one reason or another, she got out of there, went to Cornwall, led the life of an artist, and was quite settled. She continued to work and She donated poster designs and toys to the Red Cross during the World Wars. She made artwork for the suffragette atelier. I
Cute.
love this poster. It says, "What a woman may be and not have the vote," and then it's illustrations like the tarot of a mayor, a nurse, a mother, a doctor, a teacher, and then what a man may be and not lose the vote, a convict, a lunatic, a drunkard, and so on and so on.
Oh,
So yeah,
sassy.
she's coming at it strong. But
Yes.
alongside this work, the most important thing to her in her later life seems to have been her Catholicism. So she tried to support the church. She built a chapel in the grounds of her home. She never stopped being that spiritual seeker.
It's not a
Sadly,
bad thing to be.
yeah, I mean, that was just who she was. It was
Hmm.
always going to be who she was. And unfortunately, because of the business dealings we talked about, I suppose, and the kind of character traits around that, she ended her life in some financial difficulties, but she did leave enough that her partner Nora inherited. Her partner Nora, by the way, was a spiritualist as well. So
Okay.
they were both involved in that world. And Pamela died in the 1950s, and that's when Lake kind of took her estate on. But what struck me when I saw that fact was how comparatively recent that is. Because it seems so long ago when you think about artists lounging around salons, talking with the spirits, and performing racial stereotypes for entertainment. It is wild to me that her lifetime is so close to us, and those complicated times are so close to now. Like, yeah, just blows my mind.
I was
But
quite struck that there was photographs. Like that's really what brought me back into because I know that you said the dates, but then you were like, "Oh, here's a photograph of her on stage," and I was like, "Oh, there's a
yeah.
photograph." Like in my head, this would be like a like that
She
Nanny in the Maroon where we don't have anything, we just have this bust that we think looks
Yeah,
like
like
her, and
an
yeah.
artist's representation,
Mhm,
but no,
mhm,
this is recent enough. This was
mhm.
going on recently enough. She lived at the same time as my grandmother. So,
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
and crazy.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so there you have it. She didn't receive the recognition she deserved as an artist on her most far-reaching project,
Yeah.
but there has been an upsurge in interest in her, and because of that, her kind of triumphs, but also her controversies are we're aware of that now. And I think, for my mind, one of the things that came out in that Reddit thread was that people have started referring to her tarot deck instead of just the Rider Waite deck. They've started referring to it as the Rider Waite Smith deck. And it's a small thing to do, but it's something that I'm happy to do should the need arise, just to remember this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interesting and
It's
complicated
quite,
character.
passive aggressive as well. Like
You can call it what you want, but I'm adding her name.
I'm enjoying the passive aggressiveness of that feminism.
That's
Very good. Yeah.
something I do enjoy in broadly. So yeah, that fits. So there you have it. That is the
Mm.
story for today of Pamela Coleman Smith, for better and for worse.
La, 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 la. There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah. It's
And
kind of like, oh. Like,
I yeah. It's interesting that she could leave the cult of her own free will. Because normally when you're in a cult, you're in a cult.
No,
Like, it's quite hard. She's like,
she
"No,
made
I've
it a
done my."
habit. She was in cults and out of them like a
Yeah.
fiddler's elbow. Like, no bother. Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose maybe this is, I think the Swedenborgian one might have been quite tricky to extricate herself from, but then she left where she lived when she was in it.
I left London.
And then the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, I feel like they were just playing around. Like, I don't, reading about it, it just felt a bit like, isn't this a wheeze? And,
It would probably be harder to leave today, is what
uh,
I'm saying.
I'm hoping it's not still a thing, but who knows what goes on? Who
Mm.
knows? Like you said, I'm not getting invited to any Emily in Paris style Rome
Where's our
trips or
text?
cults. No, but I'm
Mm.
okay. Like,
Are you? I don't know if
no,
I am.
I don't want that.
I'm desperate.
I don't want to have to do illustrate my spiritual awareness to a guy in an Egyptian costume.
So creepy.
A white guy in London in a pub.
Oh.
No.
The other thing I thought was we were talking about the Egyptian picking pieces was that novel
Mm.
by Kate Atkinson, The Gaiety Age.
Yeah,
There was
Shrines of Gaiety.
yeah, there's a location in that was Egyptian-y, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
there
and
was
it had like
definitely this.
a moldering cat mummy that someone allegedly had brought back from Egypt. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, no, don't
Which
do
is the
this.
same time frame, isn't it? It's like golden
Exactly.
agey kind of time frame. Yes.
Yep. Yep,
So there
spot
is this
on.
fascination, isn't there? But then, of course, there is, because
Yeah.
we wouldn't be Britain as always had, haven't they? We're not great at the whole just letting ourselves get on with it. Really.
Like, it is fascinating. However, there's got to be a way to enjoy and appreciate and learn about things without then going, and
Without
we'll have that,
colonising
and
it.
we'll have that. And
Yeah.
like, and
I'm
now I'm
sure
going to
it's an
dress like
option.
that. It's got to be, right? Like, there's got to
Someone
be a
must figure this
way.
out. No, I love that. Thank you so much. What a
Oh,
nice
my
little
pleasure.
underground kind of
Yeah,
story, just like bubbling along there that we didn't know about. So
Yep.
yes, love it. And I like a bit of spirituality. I really like the word spirituality, because like religion has such difficult connotations sometimes to it. Like, but I do think, yeah, it's really nice to learn of spirituality, and that's really fascinating. So thank you so
My
much. And did you
absolute
say
pleasure.
how it works in the Tate Gallery? Did you say that?
It's not on display, but they have a couple
I
of her
have it.
paintings in their collection, and you can see them on the Tate website.
It's very cool. Oh, well, thanks so much.
My absolute pleasure.
And thank you for listening. I'll catch you later.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of She Changed History. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Find us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you've got any ideas of women you'd like us to cover in a future episode, please comment on the socials or email us at shechangedhistory@gmail.com. Catch you next time.